Hello and welcome to Blythe Business News. Today I'm joined by Tim Harrison. Tim is Managing Director of Ionic Rare Earths. Ionic is listed on the Australian Stock Exchange, the ASX, with the symbol of IXR. But today we're talking about things a long way away from Australia. Tim, you've just published a feasibility study for your subsidiary, Ionic Technologies, which has got a recycling operation for Ionic Rare Earths in Belfast. Now, let's start. What does this feasibility study tell us about the potential for rare earth oxides extraction recycling in Belfast?
Yes, so Tim, very pleased to be talking to you today on the back of a positive feasibility study. We announced our feasibility study with an NPV of approximately 500 million US dollars post-tax, strong rate of return of about 44%, and over a 20-year life. We're forecasting the potential to generate revenue in excess of $2 billion, and about 1.8 billion in EBITDA. So, yeah, very strong economics on recycling of permanent magnets in the UK to produce high purity separated magnet rare earths that'll be available to support jobs in the UK, advanced manufacturing, automotive, the energy transition, and also military and defence. So, yeah, this ticks a number of boxes on a path towards sovereign capability for magnet rare earths, strategic raw materials in the UK.
Okay, so it's demonstrated the viable business case so far to go forwards. It's opening up lots of potential. Can you just give us some of the key findings that the feasibility study has unearthed, if that's not too much of a pun?
Yeah, look, so beyond the economics, we see a viable business being generated in Belfast. We've looked at the sensitivity of the project on rare earth prices, and rare earth prices fluctuate substantially. We've seen that over history, and any sort of forecasts on the demand of magnet rare earths certainly would substantially exceed the potential demand. So we see a viable business being developed in Belfast. We have, very, very good support from stakeholders, certainly in the UK and Northern Ireland. We have fantastic infrastructure in Belfast that would support the development of magnet recycling there, tapping into the building of a offshore wind energy hub in Belfast there because of the port infrastructure. So we see a very viable business that can immediately add value to manufacturing there, and be an enabler of certainly more advanced manufacturing within the UK.
In the announcement you put out today, Tim, you mentioned a couple of times that you've got this first mover status. Can you just explain to the viewers the significance of that and the significance of what you're developing in Belfast by being first mover?
So what we're actually doing, the technology which has come out of Queen's University Belfast, is called what's classified as long loop recycling. So we take the end of life magnets, but we can also take the materials, the waste products that are generated from the production of neodymium iron boron permanent magnets. We recycle all of them. So we have the ability to take multiple different feed streams. We take it all the way back to a high purity separated oxide, which means that material can now be redeployed in making the next generation of metals, alloys, and magnets to facilitate better magnets going into more efficient electric motors used in electric vehicles, wind turbines, and a number of other applications that we see in industrial use. So, we are a first mover. We've produced high purity oxides. We've produced high purity separated oxides. We're one of only, a few companies that have produced high purity terbium oxide outside of China. And again, that's incredibly important for the development of some very high-end applications. Incredibly also important in military and defence applications as well.
Now, I know you've already had support from the UK government, and you've had some productive meetings and conversations with them. What impact do you think the feasibility study is going to have on future conversations and possible future funding from the UK government?
Yeah, so we have, Tim. We've had really good engagement from UK government and funds bodies that have been established in the UK to look at security of supply to facilitate the strategic raw materials that can go into advanced manufacturing. So now on the back of the feasibility study, we've got concrete numbers that we can now engage with government to look at the potential for support as we commercialise sovereign capability in the UK. So armed with the information, we can now progress on that capital grant opportunity, which would be a cornerstone in the development of a facility in Belfast.
Okay. You mentioned a moment ago, Tim, the fact that you were the only firm outside China to be able to produce certain rare earth oxides. So I'm going to conclude by asking you, what are the next steps? Now you've got the feasibility study to developing and delivering domestic supply chain rare earth oxides for your, let's call them the Western customers, and what kind of timescale are we looking at?
So if we look at Belfast, now armed with the feasibility study, we move into the next phase, which is securing the financing for the development of the commercial facility in Belfast. As part of that next phase of work, we'll also start front-end engineering design on the commercial plant in Belfast. We're working through permitting right now with stakeholders in Belfast, the Belfast Harbour, on a site that we've selected, and working through that. We're planning on completing construction by late 2026 and starting the production of sovereign capability in the UK. So if we look at what we're doing in the UK, we're well on the path. Also with the feasibility study, we're now armed with the information to look at how we can take this technology to other Western countries, how we can scale this capability into other markets, because we do see opportunity, certainly in North America. We've got our joint venture in Brazil, Europe, and other parts of Asia where there has been strong engagement and appetite from those governments to support similar developments. We're now at the cusp of sort of now moving to the next phase of engagement, the next path towards commercialization, and ultimately, hyperscaling the technology into those markets.
Thank you, Tim. Please come back and keep us updated. That was Tim Harrison, Managing Director of Ionic Rare Earths, updating us on the feasibility study just being completed at their subsidiary Ionic Technologies, the recycling plant in Belfast. That's it for this edition of Blythe Ray Business News. Thanks for watching.